Hello, friends and neighbors. It was very cold the last couple days, but it is sunny out now and 53. So I figured we would take a walk. So let's do that. And let me flip this around. All right, door is locked. And anytime it's nice, my neighbor Elsie is always out. There he is. When I first moved here, test. Okay, I had to pause there for a minute. I didn't think the sound was working. When I first moved here, I would get a little annoyed that my neighbor was outside always making so much noise. Because on a day like today, I like to have the house open. We're on Walnut Street, by the way, walking up to Walnut Street and North Fulton, the intersection here. I would get annoyed with the noise. But in my meditative practices and being in the moment and such, I have learned to reframe that thought. So now, even though I don't quite like that if I want to open up the house, I have to put in earplugs if I don't want to hear his heavy machinery, the reframe that I've done is, well, if I hear his heavy machinery, it means he's outside because it's a beautiful day. And today is that case. So I'm leaving the house though, so I don't have to worry about it, do I? So I figured I'm gonna walk up to our newest restaurant in town, Folk Art. I eat there almost every day. I love it. I figured I'd take the long way today, since it's such a pretty day, and walk down North Avenue. I'm out of breath just from that little hill that I had to come up right there from Walnut Street. You continue further down, and then there's Lake Woodrow. God, I've only been here 7 years. Lake Woodrow. Oak? All right, we're at North Avenue in North Fulton. So I figured we'd take the long way around. I haven't been down North Avenue in a while to see. Hi! That happens a lot. Well, when y'all lived here, it happened because you knew everybody in your town. For me, it happens because I do these videos on Facebook. So people in Hapeville know my face and know what I'm doing. So there's our Hapeville trash refuse truck. So oftentimes people will stop their car and wave, and I like that. It's very nice. But most of the time, I'm like, who is that? Because they see me on Facebook or YouTube or in our shows, and I don't know everybody. Here's 532 and 536. So I figured we would walk down North Avenue and check out the Stillwood development down there in that area that is directly behind what used to be the Ramada Inn. You know it. A couple years ago, they cleared that land out. Decades ago, the original houses were removed that were on Stillwood and Springdale, I think, that formed that circle over there by the highway, that neighborhood, and everyone's backyards faced a creek or surrounded a creek. Gosh, what a pretty day. We're passing by Jackson and North Avenue. Does anybody know who lives there or owns that house on the corner of Jackson and North Avenue? I've never seen a human or a car or any activity in the whole 7 years that I've lived here. I've never seen anybody come or go from that house. Not even yet. Hello.
Hello.
All right. That's Jackson Street, going down that way. So I figured that we would walk down to the Stillwood development and check out where it's at. The last time I looked, it was quite a few months ago. The northwest part of the property was pretty much developed, but there's still a lot of it that wasn't developed. And it doesn't seem like they're selling very quickly, but I could be wrong. I know there's some people that live down there because they've come to our shows. Here's the old Pickwick. Just last week, the city owns this building now. They put some black up in the window so you can't see inside. And on Facebook, the conversation I heard was that they were open for proposals for what to do with that property. But then I saw this week, the city said they're pausing proposals. They're not taking proposals right now. So who knows what is going to become of that. But right now, this parking lot gets used a lot for this business right here called Convo Restaurant and Lounge. And there have been quite a few businesses that have come and gone in my short 7 years that I've been here. And that is the first one that has had any level of success, it seems. So I'm glad for them. So they use that parking lot often because they get a lot of folks that come into town to go to their business. Here's 607 and 611. Hello. 608. I'm definitely taking the long way around to get to Folkart today, and I'm hungry. So I might walk briskly. This is 615. I mentioned this house before. It's a North Whitney Avenue address, but the way their driveway is off North Avenue, that's really the front of their house now. 3272 North Whitney. When the house was built, of course, this was the north side of it, and that's the front, but the way they live now, that's kind of the front for them. It is the front for them. There's 619, 621. There's a stop sign here that got added at North Whitney a couple of years ago. People used to just zip through here, but now there's a stop sign right in front of 621 Whitney. 639, and the brown one is 643. Have I mentioned it's such a beautiful day today? That house faces Whitney. Throughout my walks, as we pass this one here, 647, the one with the white picket fence, the one next to it, this one has had intermittent work being done on it. Every now and then there'll be a spurt, work will be done, and then it sits quiet for a while, and it's sitting quiet and empty now. Number 6, what is that? 6-something-1. It sits right across from the elementary school. I always imagine a kid going to this school and then going home. That was his commute. Anybody know anybody who ever lived in that house? Did you ever go in that house? At North Avenue and Lake? I just love this building. In 4 years, y'all, it'll be 100 years old. I wish it still had its original arched window, but they cemented it in and put the Teaching Museum South title on it. But from what I understand, I've been in there, as you've seen in the video. Teachers come here for meetings. The Fulton County Archives are in here. In this intersection, many of you will remember either being patrols or somebody telling you you could cross the street safely now. A lot of activity, a lot of history here at the former North Avenue Elementary School. 96 years old. I'll cross the street so you can get a little view of the area where the upper and lower playgrounds were. There's nothing out here now. No activity, but I can feel all the memories that are here. This house fascinates me. I know nothing about it. 698, but it's unlike any other house here in Hapeville, really. It's so unique in its style. And I've always been very curious of how long 698's been here. I would guess built in 1900, perhaps, the early 1900s. But the fact that here it sits, my guess is it was here well before the school was built in 1929. But I love the style of that house. You don't see that old style, farm style house. You see mostly this, the like number 714, the American small type house. That's what Hapeville mostly has. And all of them have been altered throughout the years. So some of them, one in particular I think of over on Campbell, I think it is, it's been altered so much that if you didn't know it started as an American small type house, you would never know that that's what it was. It has a whole second story added to it. So here we are at Oakdale Road and Sims Street. For a second there, I panicked and I thought I had been talking to you and not recording this whole time, but I have. Oakdale Road, that direction. Here's 724 A and B. And then this place next door is identical, so obviously these were built at the same time. When my family came to town, they stayed here. It's an Airbnb. They stayed in one of them. And here's 734 A and B. But yeah, they're the same. Whoever built these, I'm gonna say the 30s? I would say built them at the same time. I've mentioned this duplex before. I heard that at one point there was a grocery store there. Back before y'all's days. Like those of you in the 70s wouldn't even remember. In your 70s, I don't think would remember it. I think it was before that. So, hello. And we'll continue down North Avenue. Here's number 747. Pretty much looks like it would have looked when it was built. Looks like the same era as my house, which was built in 1920. 755, and here's 748. Oh, look at this one for sale, number 754. God, that's cute. Oh, number 755. That one is adorable. It needs work, but my goodness, is that adorable. I'm partial to small houses. This one definitely looks similar to mine on Walnut Street. As I was saying, mine is listed that it was built in 1920, but you can never quite be sure because when a house is that old in Hapeville, from what I understand, sometimes the records were not kept very currently. And so at some point in history, when they couldn't figure out when exactly a house was built, they would just say 1920. They would estimate. So that could be the case with my house, but I did find a map that shows that my house was the first one on the street back in the 20s, so it makes sense. It probably was built in 1920. And there's number 764 and 770 as we get closer to Stillwood. I love this, 773. I found that Boy Scout meetings used to be held here, I think in the 40s and 50s. I don't remember who the scoutmaster was. But the kids called it the tent house because of that architectural feature on the top, I guess. Looks like a tent. So here we are coming up to passing 780 here to the intersection of North Avenue and Stillwood. And we'll just walk around a big circle towards the highway down to where Springdale used to be. The end there. Number 793, my friend Sharon lives there, the one with the blue door. The house next to it, that white one, number 809, that was not looking so good a couple years ago, but boy, have they made some improvements to it. And they cut down all of the, you couldn't see the house, but now they cleared out the land. But here we are right at the corner of North Avenue and Stillwood. Back in the 50s and 60s, there were homes along here, single-family homes, but now this whole property is right across from these two is townhomes. I forget how many they put in here, 50, either 45 or 55, something like that. We're heading down towards Springdale, so this all looks very different than you would remember, I think. 811, cute little house. And here you can see the creek that was in the backyards of the original homes that were here. They took care to make sure to funnel it through from south out near North Central. It goes through the property underneath. I watched them do it, and through here, because the water is going to flow no matter what. So there it is, and it flows under, and it actually goes behind the property of number 819. I've went to a party there one time, and we went out back and saw the creek that goes right behind her house, and then goes along the highway and heads down toward Cleveland Avenue, I think. That's number 819, number 825. And then here we are, the last one, 831. And now you see private property, a gate. You've got a couple homes, townhomes right here. But here's Springdale, which I think, if I'm correct, my maps, looking at my maps, it used to continue that direction until the highway came through. So now we're coming up behind In-City Suites, which are apartments now, but it used to be the Ramada Inn. But here you go, there's the front of 3342. It's very quiet back here if you pretend that the highway noise is waterfall, which people over on Hope Street probably got very good at. 3338. And then you can turn left and go down to the center of the property. Oh, 3338 is a model home. There's the pool. And there's Sharon's house. Well, that's funny. I wonder if Sharon has made friends with anybody yet so she can use the pool. It's cute back here. This is 3336. So I suppose you just pull up and park right here. It's like city living. You just walk in. You don't have a garage. I don't think any of these have garages. 3334 has a screened-in porch. That's nice. Oh yeah, they do have garages. See? You can see down there. So if you go in and then around. Certainly looks different from the Hapeville most of you remember, doesn't it? Here is the back of former Ramada Inn, and I didn't realize this till I was looking at Google Earth and looking from above. There used to be, the pool was right there. Now it's filled in. Oh, wow. Yep, that's where the pool was, right there. In that space. I've heard stories that a lot of you would come here secretly and use the pool. I don't blame you. I did that when I was a kid, when I was growing up in Florida. I would go to the local Holiday Inn with my sister and my little brothers. We'd bring our own towels and swim in the pool. They never knew. So as I mentioned, is the sidewalk finished? No. I was going to walk down the sidewalk, but it's not really finished. But let's go to the end of it, and I'll show you, now that we're on the south side of the property, there is some work going on here. So they are continuing, and so they've got this stretch along Stillwood all the way up here to where Springdale meets it. They are developing that now. Oh, this one's available. Anybody? I'll tell you, if I was going to live in this complex, I wouldn't want to live in this one, because that's your view. So that might be a tough sell if you were to come here. I don't think that would be most people's first pick, is to be looking at the back of this property. Interestingly enough, this parking lot back here is never full. As many people that live in here now, there's so much parking here. All right, we're coming up, and you can see the homes that still remain on Stillwood. I've covered those before. And we'll turn right here off Springdale onto Stillwood. They don't have the street sign here anymore. It was. I wonder if they'll bring it back. And then you'll see over here these apartments that were built probably within the first couple of years that I got here. So I'm thinking, I think they were being built during the pandemic. These are for rent. These are actually townhomes for rent. So my guess would be low end $2,300 a month. That's my guess. Don't hold me to that. But down on the other end is where, going in that direction, is where sorry, I'm having a brain fart. The teacher, I haven't said her name in so long, her home. This is called North Central Hapeville at 801. Y'all are yelling it at the screen. She was your English teacher, poetry teacher for many, many years, Melvina Wells. I haven't said her name in so long that I forgot it. Her home was down here on the corner. But here we are looking across. I probably showed you this before. There used to be a gas station here at the corner of Central and Custer and Willingham. But a few years ago, they tore that out, and it is now a Thai restaurant called Paper Plane. It's very popular. They fit it right in that triangular area. Many people don't know this, but back in Hapeville's early history, that triangular area was a park. Ever so briefly, it was a park. This row along North Central, when Hapeville was first chartered, most of the well-to-do families in Hapeville lived along the train tracks in large homes. Melvina Wells' house, the Wells house down on the corner where it used to be, being an example of it. The Sims family. I think the Thrill Kills were over here, even though they owned the property that is now the airport. You can see over here this little yellow home. That is currently Gene Norton's realty office. He's about 96 now, I think. And I was talking to his wife, Louise, several months ago to try and coordinate to speak with him, and he was ill and in the hospital. I haven't heard since how he's doing. But for all I know, he's in there right now working, because it seems like that's what that man has done his entire life, is work very hard. Graduate from Hapeville High School, I want to say the first year, but that was 1940. I'm not sure mathematically, but maybe not the first year, but he certainly was within the first decade of Hapeville High School's history. Gene Norton graduated. If I'm not mistaken, he owned all this land where Melvina Wells' house was. And that is the other side of North Whitney. As we continue down, the Sims house, their huge family home was here. An original founding family of Hapeville, the Sims house, which is interesting. Am I getting that right? No, I'm pretty sure that's right. I could be wrong. It might have been down on the corner where Sims Street is. Oh, this is Sims Street. I got it wrong. The Sims house was here. This is Sims Street. Myrtle is there. North Whitney is one more down. I always imagine when I'm doing these and I make mistakes, all of you long-timers bristle and say, "No, Dewey, no! That's not it at all." Here's the intersection of Virginia Avenue and South Central. That building right there, up until about 1953 or 54, was the Fulton County Movie Theater. The Fulton, not Fulton County, Fulton Movie Theater. But it closed in the early 50s. It was only open from 1939 to about 1953 or 54. Very briefly. Television probably killed it.
You, them?
Everybody. Well, I don't know why they do. Myrtle Street. Those fellas that just passed were like, everybody's got cameras out, why? Well, it's 2025, and that's what people do now. Neil Putnam and Ben Stidham. This building was built in 1950. What was it when it was built, y'all? Do you remember? Was this? I think it was a lawyer's office when it was built, wasn't it? Across the way, on the other side of the train there, you can see Donahue Lewis. Debbie Bowman just sold it. I don't know who the new owners are, but she just sold it. And next to it, the very first apartment building in Hapeville called the Avian at, what is that? I can't see across 150, no, 73, it's either 730 or 750. Can't see it well, but the Avian. And then of course, right next to it was where the 1968 nursery explosion happened. Memorial Day, 1968. Blew out the east side windows of the Avian, as a matter of fact. These were here when I moved here. These were pretty much the newest townhomes when I moved here. 715, 711, here at the corner of Whitney, North Whitney. And of course, the reason this is called North Whitney is it used to extend over there on that land and be called South Whitney. But that's gone now, as that land belongs to Delta, and that is one of their, I think that's where they do reservations. So if you call to make reservations, I'm sure they do other things there as well, but that's what I've heard. I believe this was built in 1950 as well. It was a motorcycle dealership at one point, from what I understand. Now it's a business at 703. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Create yourselves a great day.